Welcome to Grey County Life at Home. And today I'm not exactly in my own home, but we are filming in from home, various homes. And I'm your host, Mary Jane Murray, and Rhonda is off this week, and we're looking forward to having her back next week. And this is a time of year where in January where we have so many gray days. And now we're starting to look forward to spring, like, come on, let's get going and rolling here with a little color and sunshine. And so my guest today, I am so pleased to welcome Vicki Thompson from the Grey County Master Gardeners. And they've got some events coming up and to inspire us to get into those gardens. So welcome, Vicki, and tell us what's coming up next.
Hi, Mary Jane. Thank you so much for having me. It's always nice to come on your show and talk about these events and learn more about what's going on around here. So we have our two seminars this year. We run a series. This is our third year now on eco-responsible gardening. We feel that with the challenges of climate change, and we just have to look out our windows today to see that this is kind of weird weather we're having. It's affecting our plants and our animals and severely. And also the loss of biodiversity, which is, of course, a major concern. So our focus is on being eco-responsible as gardeners. And that encompasses a lot of different things. So one of the things we've talked a lot about over the last few years is the importance of incorporating native plants that are indigenous to our area in our gardens, because this really supports native pollinators, the insects that we really depend on for pollinating our flowering plants, but also pollinating our food supplies. So it's very important. So we've been talking a lot about that. And one of the biggest challenges people have is, well, there's all kinds of beautiful native plants, and it's been quite delightful to discover and rediscover some of these plants that we have not used very much over the years. But how do we use them in our gardens? How do we incorporate these into our gardens? Designing with native plants is a bit different than with our traditional perennials. So we have a wonderful speaker on February 4th. Saturday, February 4th. His name is Tony Spencer, and he's well known in the designing field. And he's written a book and presents on with the concept of the new perennialist. In essence, how to incorporate. He calls it wildscaping, but essentially incorporating native plants into our home garden designs. So he's won awards for speaking. He's very knowledgeable and has beautiful designs available. If you check out his website, you may see some examples of that. And he'll be here on February 4th. And these seminars are free. You can go to our website, greycountymastergardeners.com, and just sign up. Sign up soon, because there is a maximum number we can accommodate. But there's plenty of room right now. And it's about an hour and a half. He will answer lots of questions. And I think it'll be a really interesting morning, and maybe give us all a little bit of a lift with this gray weather we're having.
Well,
do you want me to tell you about the next one too, Mary Jane, or is that enough?
Yes, absolutely, please.
The second speaker, and as I said, we're having just two this year, is Ben Caesar from Fiddlehead Nursery, more local. And he's going to talk about a different topic, but he has a special interest in growing food in forest settings, and so he is well known for this talent and interest. So he's going to talk to us about how we can incorporate food crops into our shade gardens, into our yards, into our gardens of any kind, and into our wooded areas, which is kind of interesting. I heard him speak once several years ago, and he told me we learned that several plants in our gardens are quite edible. And I won't tell you what those are in case I get it wrong. So I'll wait for Ben to tell us about that in the seminar. And that is Saturday, March 4th. again at 11 in the morning, and again free. And as soon as our first one is over, you'll be able to sign up for the second one as well. So we're hoping lots of people will take advantage of this, and both excellent speakers. We've seen them work before, and lots of knowledge to offer us. Hopefully that we can translate into doing something in our home gardens that will help with the climate crisis and with restoring biodiversity here and across the world, I suppose. Thank you.
Well, I think it's really important that we really start looking into how we do our gardens and incorporating a lot of native and natural plants into our gardens. They're very beautiful. And lots of times when I've tuned into your webinars, I take copious notes. And then I look at, what is it that I can do and what is a dream. And so with your help, Vicki, and with Master Gardeners webinars, I've been able to start putting together a new plan for my gardens and being more conscientious about what plants that I choose and where they go in the garden. Because, well, Vicki, our place is pretty wild out there and lots of space. But I also find that the variety of the webinars are really helpful as well in terms of drawing in a broader audience. And I know that your webinars are really well attended, and you do need to register really quickly in order to be able to get on to and tune into the speaker. And the fact that you offer it for free is wonderful and really helpful. But just very quickly, in the last 30 seconds, how can people financially support Grey County Master Gardeners?
Well, thank you for that intro. You could certainly go to our website and find out how to do that on our website. But I'm 99% sure that at the seminar, there will be an option for people to make a voluntary donation if they want to. So it'll be on your screen. We've just got that figured out, and that's certainly very helpful. We offer these for free because, Master Gardeners are community volunteers, and it's our mandate to try and offer up-to-date education around horticulture. So we're happy to do it.
This program is brought to you by Ignite TV. Now you're in command. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
Your mouth can do a lot of amazing things. And your mouth can save a life.
Hi, I'm Tom Wong. I'm just one of close to 1,000 Canadians in search of a stem cell match. We need your help.
A simple swab is all you need to register on the National Stem Cell Database. You could be the one to save a life. Find the hero in you.
The regulars, the guys who keep this place in business. Last week, they had something to celebrate. Jason had just finished university. So they toasted his profs, his TAs, his old roommates. Well, they toasted just about everyone. But I worry about and take care of my guys. So even when I know they're not driving, sometimes that means bringing them a little surprise. And then they had a drink to me.
Brought to you by Smart Serve Ontario and Arrive Alive, Drive Sober.
October 5th, 2014, my daughter was hit by a train. She was walking along the sides of the tracks, and it shattered her world.
Welcome back to Grey County Life at Home. And today I'm flying solo as Rhonda is off, but she'll be back with us next week. And today we have two guests from Safe and Sound. Now, this is an organization that has been going on for about 10 years now, and their services have grown exponentially over the past few years. because of the demand that is required in our community. And I am really grateful that Safe and Sound is here and helping folks through challenging times. And we have with us today Rachel Patterson, who is the chair of the board of directors, and Michelle Solero.
That's correct.
Solero, who's going to be talking to us about the coldest night of the year. And of course, they do that in January, February, because that's when it's really cold. So welcome, Rachel, and give us an overview of the services of Safe and Sound.
Thanks for having us. So Safe and Sound is a nonprofit organization that was started some years ago, and as you mentioned, it has grown exponentially. We currently are providing in the winter months services 7 days a week. Previously, last winter, it was 6 days. So we have seen an increase in supports that we've been able to receive and been able to offer that support because it is so integral, especially in the wintertime, to give people a warm place that they can access services throughout the day. We're seeing about 20 to 60 people a day accessing Safe and Sound. So some might come in for a singular reason, such as being able to do their laundry or looking for warm winter coat, or perhaps doing like a needle exchange. Others might be coming in as well for that community aspect, because that is really an important component as well too. We are open until 10 o'clock at night now, but on those colder days when we do have a cold weather advisory, we are open until midnight as well. So another just important thing to point out. We also have really great partnerships with local organizations such as the SOS team. If you weren't familiar, so during COVID, it really came to note all of the different services once things started shutting down in the lockdowns that people weren't able to access. And out of that has popped up the SOS team. And so it's a mobile access that provides nurse practitioners, mental health workers, substance misuse counselors as well, and can help with general provision of like wound care and whatnot. So they come to Safe and Sound 1 day a week, and the lineups for that are just exponential because lots of people don't have access to safe nurse practitioners or doctors, or the list is just, there just isn't a doctor out there, especially if someone doesn't have an address or a way to actually communicate with those doctors as well too. So that's been really beneficial for us. And then we do have a residential housing program above as well too. So we do have 4 apartment units, and that's on a contractual basis. So it's a 1-year program helping people transition into long-term stable housing. So they have the supports of our housing support team, and it's all based off of goals that they set forward for themselves. And it is a sober living situation as well too. And it's been really successful. We've had a lot of really great success and seeing lots of people blossom, which has been just so beautiful to be able to see. We also are one of the main services for harm reduction locally. So for instance, people can pick up safe supplies at our center. So if people are using, it's always important to make sure that everything is fresh every time they use in order to reduce potential infections or anything of that sort. So we do have a needle exchange program, and currently we're seeing anywhere from 1,500 to 3,000 needles brought in on a monthly basis. So it's really showing the importance of, what we need as a community. So it's been a really successful program that we've been able to run with as well. I think that's probably a good summary of all of the different services we offer.
Well, I'm really grateful that we have this service in our community. But what is a little disheartening is that your services have to keep expanding, in the sense that we're actually not meeting the needs of people in general for safe housing and for medical care and addiction treatment. The demand is outweighing the actual services that we can provide in our community. So I think that our community does a really good job of trying to meet the needs. There are so many organizations, and Safe and Sound collaborates with a number of organizations to put these services together. I just think that it's winter time and we have some challenging weather that we need to address, which you are. And then we also need more housing in our community so that people are stable all year round, not just intermittently. And so, but at the moment, Safe and Sound is filling in as many of those gaps as possible.
Yeah, and we have seen the rise in apartments and their affordability rates skyrocket through COVID, and yet there hasn't been a change in infrastructure locally. There hasn't been a change in income either. So units that maybe in 2019 were about $850 inclusive are now anywhere from $1,300 to $1,400 plus utilities, which makes it absolutely inaccessible for somebody on Ontario Works or ODSP alone to afford it. So it forces overcrowded situations, and it's just increases the criminalization of poverty because it encourages other activities in order for people to survive. So that's why we're trying to break down as many barriers as possible and really advocate that poverty does exist and we have to figure out ways to support our community as best as possible.
Wow, and that's a big challenge. It is a big challenge, and it's really important that you're stepping forward to knock down as many barriers as possible. But the other thing too, Safe and Sound doesn't run on just a funding from one source. You have lots of different sources in which you need to gain enough funding to provide these. And one of the sources is fundraising. And Michelle Solero is attempting to fundraise in her role with Safe and Sound. And Michelle, tell us a little bit about that event coming up.
Sure. So Coldest Night of the Year is being held this year, February 25th at 4 o'clock. We're meeting at the market, the farmer's market. That's the start and end point of the 2 or 5K walk. But a little bit about Coldest Night of the Year. It's a national initiative. So across the country on the same date at, basically the same time zones accepted, people will be walking for Coldest Night of the Year. So it is hosted locally by an organization that provides service to the homeless. So in Owen Sound area, it is Safe and Sound. So there are 185 locations across Canada. And it's become it's not only a major fundraiser for Safe and Sound, it's become a major fundraiser for many organizations. So it's a fun night. It's a fun night with a serious message, I guess you'd say. As I was saying, that we're going to be meeting at 4 o'clock for registration and walking. Either people can choose a 2K walk or a 5K walk, and it will start and end at the market. And we are 98% sure we're going to have some musicians playing, so it should be a fun night. We'll have some like a light supper and snacks and drinks for the walkers. Participation is pretty easy. It's all online, and you just sign up as a team leader, and you can have members on your team that sign up. And it's easiest, it's not essential, but it's easiest if the donations are done online, which is what happened last year. The last 2 years have been virtual events because of COVID. So all of that was all done online. And it really is a seamless process for the team leaders if that can happen.
Well, I know that my co-host, Rhonda Brown, is a big supporter of the coldest night of the year. And she, in the past, has donned all those winter clothes and gone out and did the walk. I, on the other hand, I just gave her the money. That was my part. So you're looking for both. You're looking for the walkers and you're looking for the funds to support that.
We're looking for even more than that. We're looking for sponsorship from businesses. We're looking for team leaders. We're looking for walkers. We're looking for donors, and we're looking for volunteers. And this year, it is. You mentioned that I'm trying to raise money. I am noticing the difference that people's pocketbooks are strapped this year, and it's showing in how they're deciding to spend their limited extra resources. But we're hoping that you'll consider coldest night of the year if you have a few extra pennies left over. And if not, like I said, we're looking for volunteers. We're going to need 30 to 40 volunteers to run the event. So that's quite a few people. We can sign off on high school community service hours. So if there's any high school students that are looking for some of their hours, come on out. We can put you to work.
Well, it's really important, particularly for those high school hours. They're not, high school students are sometimes quite focused on their high school life and are not necessarily engaged in the broader community and seeing some of the needs in the community the same way as they might. So becoming engaged by volunteering with Safe and Sound gives you another snapshot on another segment of our community. And we are all community neighbors. And we all need to support each other.
And it's true. It's easy to wring your hands about the situation of the homeless, but it's another thing to actually get involved and do something.
Well, it's February the 25th at the market side is where you want people to gather and to you're experiencing the coldest night. I'm not sure that you want to celebrate it, but you also
we'll have lots of hot drinks to keep people warm.
So, as you say, you're taking a fun event with a serious message, and I think that serious message is really important for our whole community to understand that it could happen to anyone. It could happen to any one of us if our circumstances changed in a direction that was unforeseen for some reason. And we do know that economic restraints are a reality right now. And when we support our community neighbors, we are actually building our community up.
It's very true. I mean, the adage that most of us are 1 to 2 paychecks away from losing everything. Mm-hmm. And as Rachel had mentioned, a couple of years ago, rents were much more affordable. Now they're not. And the other thing to mention is it's not just those who, I think Grey County estimated that there were, about 107 chronically homeless people in the county. But there are so many more precariously housed people. So they're couch surfing or they're staying for temporary points at someone's house. And that is a huge issue. I'm concerned for the
situation that people are in and struggling and barriers that they face. But I'm also grateful for the services that are out there trying to mediate some of that. And Rachel, Safe and Sound has provided a number of services to keep people housed. One of the things you mentioned that I was not aware of, and maybe other people are not either, and that is the residential component that you've also added to Safe and Sound. I didn't realize that you had apartments.
Yeah, I think we've had apartments since about 2016, 2015. I could be wrong on that, but I relocated to the area then, and I know that they had already been established, but I think they were newly established at that time. But we have had the housing for some time. Previously, it wasn't sober living, so we have made those changes in order to try and help some of the individuals that are trying to take those next steps, but don't have anywhere where they can turn to as well. Not everyone has been successful, but the ones that have been really great to be able to go and see. So, we're always trying to make sure too that, when it's also affordable housing as well too, because it's hard to take those next steps when you don't have a safe space that you can rest your head at night. So we always look as well too to make sure that it's our more vulnerable individuals. So if it's individuals that might have been living rough or that don't have other safe places that they can turn to, we also look at coordinating with our by names list as well, which currently has 184 people listed as experiencing homelessness within Grey and Bruce. And as Michelle mentioned, it doesn't include those that are precariously housed, so people that might be receiving rent supplements or having to make use of the food bank in order to keep paying their rent for the month. So, especially as we see inflation and everything rise, it's just becoming more and more dire, the amount of people that are needing to access services. So we're always trying to make a safe space for everyone.
Well, thank you very much, Michelle and Rachel, for joining us today. You've given us a lot of information, and we really want to see people out on February 25th for the coldest night of the year. Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Heartbeat of Mother Earth, I feel you and embrace your warmth. I see you dancing through the trees. Your song floats on the summer breeze. Community, we come together. We are the voice of our ancestors. Thankful for how much you bless us. Feel the thunder in the drum. All our voices sing as one. Feel the power, feel the pride. Feel the drumbeat deep inside. Feel the boom, feel the bass. Let's let go of time and space. It'll make you dance, it'll make you sing. Ode Wegun, Wedok Wishin. The drum will lead you, take you far. Always remember who you are.
Are you the type who would keep going or stop? It's not easy to stop when you have an addiction. Legalizing cannabis won't stop addiction. It trivializes its consumption. Let's be vigilant. If you need help, visit portage.ca.
Welcome back to Grey County Life on Rogers TV. We're continuing on that theme of January, February, the time of year when we have too many gray days, too many snow days, and at this point, maybe some even freezing rain, which is another hazard, but it affects our moods. And I'm so pleased to have Jackie Ralph, the supervisor of Youth Awareness Program, and Scott McKay, who is the director of Client Services, with us today, because our mental health is affected, particularly at this time of year when we're just not seeing enough sunshine.
It's so true, right? And we just had what was named the bluest day of the year, and it's funny, it was actually a marketing ploy when it first came out, but at the same time, it's when our credit card bills come in from Christmas. So, you got to give that a little bit of credit too. Yeah, we need sunshine and people. And in winter times, those two things are hard to come by, especially when you add in the weather. We had a very interesting Christmas this year with all the roads closed and lots of folks didn't get all the places that they needed to go. And so, yeah, and then you add in on top of that, the sunshine piece. And here in Grey Bruce, we land right on that line where seasonal affective is a thing. And so when you live this close to the beach and you love the beach and you love the water, but this time of year, it seems like miles and miles and miles away. And so that's why we're always so glad to get on air and just talk about the things that are available to keep us connected and to keep our mental health a priority during this time.
Well, one of the things that I have tried to do, and that is to inject into my vocabulary cheerful words like joyful and gratitude and happiness, and it's lovely to see you again, because the words help to generate warm feelings, better feelings. Sometimes we get trapped into a vocabulary that just kind of tanks us.
It sure is. And you know what, way back when, a few years ago during Mental Health Week, the campaign was actually be real about how you feel. And that was actually for that reason. So when somebody says, oh, hey, how are you today? We sometimes go, oh, I'm good, I'm fine, I'm okay. And their thing was, just expand a little bit. So it's okay to say, I'm okay. I'm doing okay. But it was a really weird Christmas. Anything that could break down did. My kitchen sink and my dishwasher and my, generator and my basement flooded. And so, I kind of need a vacation from my vacation. And then we find that when people are honest about their answers, people are honest about their answers back, and that's when connection gets made. And when we feel that connection, oh my gosh, you've been going through, your own set of challenges too. Oh, there's a connection that we have. And you're so right. It's the little things I find when I send my emails. I try hard to, when I say, hey there, or hello, and type it in, I say, hey, wonderful humans, because it gives me a boost. It gives the other people a boost. And really, it's those simple things that really add up when we need them the most.
And what are some of the other strategies that we can do? I seem to recall, a woman out there with a boom box and music playing, going around to various locations and just giving us a happy experience.
Aren't those the best? And then when the music goes past your windows in the office, Scott's on a second floor. He might not get all that music that comes by unless he's down the downtown office. But I love that. It's really all the basic things, right? We think of our health as a stool, and we need those four legs of the stool now more than ever. Gosh, we need sleep. Interestingly enough, in the winter, we tend to sleep more. So are we getting out, and are we getting outside and doing fun things? Because the more we move, the better our sleep is. And the more kind of quality sleep we get, the more focused we are and the more productive we feel. And the better we are at remembering and planning, to pack a lunch instead of forgetting it on the counter when we leave in the morning. So if we can give as much thought and effort to those 4 things, like sleep and getting outside and eating good foods. Those things will carry us through when we need them the most. And then those little bits that we talked about, what are we doing for our joy? What are we doing for our hearts and our souls? What's making us smile? I did a big cleanup on Facebook not that long ago, and I got rid of stuff I didn't need on there, and I started following a ton more people that dance and sing, and cheerleaders. I've been following cheerleaders on Facebook, but it's fun to watch them, do all that cool stuff that they do. So it's the little things that add up.
Well, yes, to bring those little pieces of joy. And for some people who are continually to struggle, who may need a little bit more help than just the 4 pegs that you mentioned. So Scott, tell us about some of the services that people can access if they're really feeling that they need more help.
Sure. So, of course, for people who are in crisis and feel that either they or someone else is at imminent risk of harm to themselves or others, people are always advised to call 911, as that is an emergency situation. So we always want to make sure that we put that out there. For people who are feeling down and need somebody to talk to, there are resources available as well. So there is the mental health crisis line of Greg Bruce, which can be accessed by calling 1-877-470-5200. And for children and youth, there is the Kids Help Phone, an amazing resource that can be accessed through 1-800-668-6868. And Jackie, maybe you can talk a little bit more about Kids Helpline and the various supports they offer for youth.
They're just amazing what they've done over the last few years. To be honest, they were built for the pandemic. This was a service that actually really stepped up really quickly. They have a text line as well. So if you text the last 6 digits of the Kids Help Phone, the 686868, someone will text you back. It's instant. There's no waiting. And over the last couple of years, 75% of the conversations that happen with Kids Help Phone are actually now over text, because it just works so well with the kids, and only 1/4 on the phone. And what's really awesome is the kidshelpphone.ca website is full of resource sheets. So even if you go to kidshelpphone.ca and the search feature comes up, there's a whole section on winter blues and going through grief, if you've gone through a loss, or things just aren't going kind of the way you planned. And for wintertime, I can never, ever, ever stress enough the bounce back. So CMHA Ontario, all the CMHAs across Ontario have access to that. And these are workbooks that you do from home. If we're going to be stuck at home on a snow day, what a great thing to go on to bouncebackontario.ca and have it become your new podcast, where you're watching the videos and hearing people's stories, and how amazing it is when we hear somebody share their story and go, oh my gosh, I can so relate. That is like exactly how I'm feeling right now. And when you access it through the workbooks, you can register yourself and say, hey, I think stepping up to the workbooks might be a good thing. They come to your house and you work through them, and you get connected to a coach. So somebody who's gone through something similar, who can check in with you and say, hey, did you like the books? You want to try a new one? Did you think they were cheesy? Do you find them helpful? And then just make sure that you're going on that trajectory, that you're not getting worse, because then, exactly like Scott said, if you find that you are doing those things and you aren't feeling better, that's when we need to tag in that help, because I've done what I can do on my own. So maybe I need to tag in some extra help, like my dentist, right? I can brush my teeth every day and stay away from candy, but maybe I'm still going to get a cavity whether I like it or not. Well, I can't pull my own tooth out, so I'm going to have to tag in some help in those moments. And that's when we need to reach out to our doctor, maybe try one of those walk-in mental health clinics that are all across Grey Bruce. You can find those on 211, which is also a great resource, because maybe there's lots of other things that are on there that could be helpful. And just tag in folks as you need them.
Well, I think that's really important. I'm just going to reflect back on something you mentioned, and that was grief. And normally when we think of grief, we think of someone passing away, or our dog, our favorite dog, passing away. But the other thing too is that we are a mobile country in terms of my best friend just moved away. And people don't see that as a grief, because there's loss there, but it's not a permanent loss. And even though we have all kinds of technologies, you don't have that friend to walk to school with or to hang out at lunch with. And we don't necessarily see that grief aspect to that. And yet a lot of young kids, I mean, this is where they need that extra support and that extra help. And it may be something that is not recognizable within the family, but the child can access the helplines, can access the workbooks, can access support system through text.
You got it, because that's what they're there for. The two school boards, both the Catholic and the public, also have the best, most robust, biggest mental health team they have ever had. And that one of the silver linings of the pandemic that brings along that extra funding. And so there's all those supports available within the young person's school. But you're so correct, Mary Jane. There's so many things that can make us feel all those feelings of loss, because loss comes with denial and anger and sadness and why me, and gosh, those are a bunch of things to stick in a pot and stir around and expect to do your day-to-day things. And so being able to access those services for any of those reasons that might be causing you to feel those things is so important.
That's right. Now, one of the things I wanted to ask is that, in downtown Owen Sound, you have a storefront. Can people just walk in your front door and kind of talk to you about what's happening in their lives, and would they receive services, or does it always have to be a referral from somewhere else?
So a bit of both. So during 12 to 1, we go to lunch. So there won't be anybody there to talk to you from 12 to 1. So, but any other time, we have a reception desk. And the reception desk, even though it cannot provide that walk-in counseling, what it can do is system navigation. And so, maybe we sit and chat in the library for a minute while we go through the resources that are there. Because what you always want to hear when you walk in a door is, oh my gosh, I'm so glad you're here. Let's get started. And that's the most important thing you can hear in those moments.
Well, immediate access, because when someone's going through some really hard times, Scott, and they are walking by and they make that decision just to go in your front door and know that there's going to be someone to talk to, not to solve necessarily the problem, but someone, that human connection. One of my biggest peeves is, and press 1 for English, and press 2 for, and press 3 for. I want a real person. So just walking in that door, Scott, what do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why we're so happy to have 1024 2nd Avenue East, our office, and that we do have a door at street level that people can enter and talk to somebody right away about the resources available, and they can get connected right away. There are a lot of services that are offered through CMHA that we can inform people about and help them access, but also we're there to let them know about other services provided by community partners. And Jackie earlier mentioned the Grey Bruce Health Services walk-in clinics. They're available throughout the region on certain days and times. And that also is available. People can just walk in and receive immediate supports. So, and as Jackie mentioned, one last plug for 211, for people looking for mental health services, even social and recreation services, pretty much anything in Grey County. they can call 211, and that can be their door to accessing these much needed services.
Well, one of the advantages that your storefront has, or your front door has, is right next door is Fresh Fruits.
Right.
The cafe. And so sometimes, and I know that there are occasions when people might be just, a toonie short from what they need. There's also, they can pick some items off the board because nutrition and eating properly is really important to mental health.
Absolutely.
Sometimes just being able to, your storefront, going in, having that human connection, and going next door for a cup of coffee and a sandwich.
Yeah.
And the folks behind those counter, are so smiley, Scott.
They're so smiley. And the food's delicious. It's affordable. And of course, we do have the Pay It Forward board for people who need a meal, but they just don't have the money at that moment. They can come in and still get a delicious and healthy and freshly prepared meal.
Well, actually, I mean, that's the advantage that you folks have over some of the other walk-in clinics and other outlets in the community. So, that is a real benefit too, because sometimes just being able to sit down at a table with your coffee and either chat with other people or just, people watch. I like to always sit on a bench and just watch what's going on around me. Builds that human connection as well.
And the cafe, it has front of house people and back of house people. And I think of the front of house people, we have our own greeters. So when you come in on a Tuesday and Friday and Nancy's there, you come in on a Thursday and Patricia's there. And the first thing you hear when you walk in that cafe is, welcome, hello, glad you're here. Like, I got to be honest, you can't get that at Tim Hortons. So just saying, that's a huge plug. But that is shameless promotion at its best.
Well, that comment is just between you and I. Nobody else needs to hear that.
That's awesome. Yeah. Well, and the Pay It Forward board has been very successful, both folks accessing it when they need it and people, when they buy coffee, buying an extra coffee. So that's so lovely.
Well, once again, and we were talking with Safe and Sound, where we are all community neighbors. Mm-hmm. And the more that we support each of us as a community neighbor, then it only benefits our community. We all feel better. Thank you both so much for joining us today on Great County Life. And it's really important that people get out there and access the services when they really feel they need to. 911, 211, or your storefront on 2nd Avenue East. And thank you so much. And we'll be back right after these messages.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm David Shearman, host of Politically Speaking on Rogers TV. Join me for my next show where my guests will be from the Owen Sound Police Service. Politically Speaking on Rogers TV.
With clubs, leagues, and courts in every province and territory across Canada, squash is the sport for wall-to-wall fun, fitness, and friendship. From coast to coast to coast. Learn to play and you'll want to do it every day. Squash. Play inside the box.
Hi, I'm Lois Taylor. And I'm Diane Austin. And we're with It's Happening Here with Lois and Diane. And we're in downtown Owen Sound. Beautiful downtown Owen Sound. Nice sunny day.
Yes, we have lots of exciting things coming for you this fall.
Mm-hmm. We have anything from going to Rintoul's Pools and Spas. We're going to be going to Popeyes. We're actually going to be going to Treasure Hunt. There's so many things that businesses we're going to be seeing.
We look forward to seeing you all.
Come and join us on It's Happening Here on Rogers TV.
And welcome back to our last segment, the adorable Adoptables on Rogers TV. Welcome, Renee and Zoel. And tell us about Zoel. You have quite a handful there.
Oh my goodness. This is actually a dog named Tag. Zoel was Jackie's cat that she adopted from the animal shelter, which is what she was showing me there. I'm going to try to sit this guy down. Come here, hands up. Oh, goodness. Here we are.
I'm sorry, what was his name again?
His name is Tag. T-A-G. Tag. Now I can name him.
Running list all the animals because I always
there we are.
We
are. So
adorable.
Tag came to our shelter from another shelter in which his time was up. They, of course, an animal control facility with time limits, which is the way most of them operate. He did his reclaim period. Nobody came for him, and they said, "Hey, this is a great dog. Are you guys able to take him?" And of course, we were here for him. Now he is a senior. He's about 6 or 7 years of age. And as you can see, he's not been mistreated or abused. He loves love, and he's quite happy to be here at the shelter. He is a treeing Walker Coonhound, whether or not that means he's had some adventures out on the trails. Maybe he's been a hunting dog. We're not sure. He has met the cats here at the shelter, and he doesn't chase them. We've not put him with a bunny or a coyote or any of those other things, so we have no idea if he's a hunter, but we would like to see him go as a family dog either way. He is actually quite well house trained, which was a bit of a surprise. We were expecting him not to be, but he does hold his business to go outside. He has been fantastic with other dogs here, and he's been good, as I said, with the cats as well. Really think he'll fit just about anywhere. The issue, of course, is that he's a little tiny bit older, but we'd love to see him sitting on a porch with a swing, with the wind blowing in his hound dog ears. We'd love to see that for him. And it was certainly, we've been successful in doing that before. So it would be sure nice if we could do it again, right? Right? Yeah. He has his vaccines up to date. His initial vetting has been done. He is a little on the thin side in saying that he has recently received some deworming. Those are all so many things that people don't like to hear about, but those things have been taken care of. And we're hoping that he'll gain in the near future. Now, if he's been out and running for a period of time, they tend to get a little thin. And let's be honest, it is January, although it is hard to imagine with the warm weather we're having. January is a time in which if they've been spending some time outside, they're going to lose some weight because they're burning calories. In any case, we're hoping he's going to get good and fat on somebody's couch really soon, right? Right. Because you're a lover. Yeah, you are.
Oh, yeah, you are. Beautiful. But I do need to ask about Chanel, the
yes,
kid was on last week.
Our scaredy cat. She is still here, which is a bummer, but she's had some people meet her, and she's done incredibly well with that. If you remember, Chanel was a little on the shy side, so we knew it would take a little bit of time, and we're getting there. We're one step closer, and hopefully this time next week she'll be in a new home, which would be fantastic. That's a nice smile.
Well, yeah, she wasn't particularly camera ready.
No, it's a good way to put it. She was a little camera shy.
Yeah. So Tag, on the other hand,
oh my goodness,
giving us some great views of all his body parts.
These things are easier in studio. We can just direct him in the right direction. A little harder when he's sitting on my lap. Oh my gosh.
Oh, but he does have a beautiful face. I love the white patches on his face. So we're looking for a really good home, not terribly active, a nice opportunity to be out and exercise, but also doesn't seem to be as energetic or as some of the other dogs that you've had.
You're right. He would do really well with a fenced-in backyard or a nice long walk every day where he can go on an adventure and sniff stuff and do stuff, and then he'd be quite content to just lay around, which is exactly what I think we want for most of our dogs. A quick adventure and then lay down.
Well, like that sounds like me, actually.
Yeah. Me too. Oh gosh, that's a real big close-up of your mouth. Yeah, it is. Here, there we are. Goodness. He certainly loves love, I gotta say. There's no problem giving kisses, is there? No. There's your cute face. There it is. Yeah, there it is. You're a good boy. I mean, it's always a reminder that we're always pleased to take from other shelters. I mean, when we see how much love he's got to give, it's really sad to think that he was almost out of time just because he was in the wrong place. So it's always good to know that we can be there for them. And I mean, the idea is if he gets adopted, then we'll have space for somebody else in the event the shelter gets somebody else that needs to be taken from those situations. So it's good, right? It saves you and the next guy. It does.
Well, he looks like he would make such a wonderful addition to another family.
Definitely. He's going to fit just about anywhere. There he goes again. Definitely not recommended for tiny toddlers, only because, of course, no history. And we always get nervous when those sort of things happen. But he does seem quite tolerable of being manipulated and handled and poked and prodded. He's good with all of those things. He'd fit just about anywhere except for tiny little people. Right? Right. Can you sit back down? Sit back down. No. Sit back down. There you go. There.
Well, we're just about out of time, but one quick question. Do you have any events coming up that you wanted to mention?
We are in the process of working on our Valentine's Day pet sponsorship. It is up and coming in the next week. You'll hear more about it next week. But if you're interested, need a last-minute Valentine's gift for someone, you may certainly sponsor a pet, make a donation to the animal shelter. You'll get a beautiful little card, a letter of thank you from that pet. It's a great way to thank somebody or show some love to the animals at the shelter while giving a gift to somebody that maybe is a little harder to buy for.
Well, it could also be sort of adopt a pet. We don't actually bring them home.
That's right. Yep.
You get all the information, and it helps to support financially the shelter.
It does. And of course, we're always happy to share good news. We're always happy to share the end story. They wouldn't be with us at the shelter if they were in the right place, and they're going to go to the right place, and we love to tell people about it. So we're more than willing to do that for sure.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
This has been another adorable adoptable. And please join us next week on Grey County Life, and we'll see which home we're in.
Call the Rogers TV viewer response line, email us, or connect with us on social media.
Sometimes, for a wish to come true, it takes a kingdom, because together we're stronger. Tied tight, united we stand, in honor of one child's wish, to fuel the fire that will grant many more. Join the kingdom.
It isn't the heavy trays that make the job difficult, or the fast pace you need to keep up. It's not working another double because someone called in